Good morning, gorgeous, and welcome to Don't Miss. No, it's not Don't Miss Monday. Holy cow. It is What's New Wednesday. Welcome to What's New Wednesday with Kimberbell. My name is Cassie Smith. I'm your host today, and today is Wednesday, September 10th. It's a Wednesday. My brain gets thrown off because I usually do the Monday show, so it's crazy how just that becomes habit. So I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I'm filling in for Kim because she is actually on a craft tours, kind of a retreat thing going on in Ireland right now. She's got a big group of ladies with her and they've been sending some pictures and it looks like she's just having the time of her life. I am super jealous. And I'm sure a lot of you are jealous too. And because of that, because she's off doing that. Oh, hello, Mindy from California. Sorry, I didn't mean to press that right there. I planned what I think is going to be a fun show for us today. So it's not quite Ireland, but I hope it'll still be good. So I wanted to start off by saying hi to everybody who's joining us. So we already said hi to Mindy from California. So hello, Mindy. Thanks for starting us off. Hi to Denise from cloudy White Lake, Michigan. Hello to Bernadette. Hello to Cindy in balmy Tennessee. Greetings from Wisconsin, says Susan. Marie is here from Maryland. Marion is here from Invermere, British Columbia. Very nice, very nice. Let's see, we've got Julie here from Minnesota. We have Carla here from Southern California. Reen's here from Maryland. I love seeing my Maryland ladies here. Cindy, you know me too well. I hope that I'm not looking through pictures and forgot what time it is. I loaded most of my pictures last night. I had a few stragglers that I put in this morning. Why I was a little bit late today, I had to fluff my hair. I'm a very vain person, and I looked at the camera and I went, oh, this needs some zhuzhing. So I'm sorry, everybody. One day I will be good at being on time. And if it makes you feel better, it's probably in all my performance reviews here too. I bet when we sit down at, the end of the quarter and look at, okay, what has Cassie done well? Where does Cassie have room for improvement? We're going to say punctuality. So I'm working on it. Sue's here from Fayetteville, Georgia. Sherry's here from Ohio. Let's see. We've got so many people here. So excited to have you here. We've got a really good group. Oh, and Kim is here. Let's see, where'd it go? Kim Yanko is here. Nope, that's not the one I meant to do. You guys are commenting so fast I can't get them, but Kim, let's see if I can get this one. Kim Yanko is here and she's actually watching from Ireland right now with Kim. So hello to all of you guys. I hope you're just having the best time ever. Okay. Let's talk about what we have planned for today. Okay. So, there's a few of you joining. We've got Laurie, who's here on the tour bus from Ireland. Okay. Y'all on the Ireland trip, you got to tell us what's been the best part so far. Okay. And not to worry, Anita. I know you say you don't see any projects in the background, but I'll show you later, but there's a pink floofy thing here and I'm really, really excited to show it to you. Okay, so here's what we are going to do today. First off, we have a new quilting bundle that just came out this morning. So I'm going to show that to you guys very first. Then we're going to do just kind of a quick reminder on our background quilting sale, deals of the week. What I was thinking is normally we do, so for those of you who haven't joined us for What's New Wednesday before, what we do is there's a portion called Sew and Tell where we look at the Machine Embroidery with Kimberbell Facebook group and look at, the different projects everybody's been making. I was thinking instead of doing that this week, instead of looking at the projects, let's do it a little bit differently because last week I asked you for your questions and what you wanted advice on for machine embroidery or Kimberbell. So I pulled screenshots of a bunch of questions and I was thinking we could do a little bit of Q&A and get some tips and tricks. And you guys, breaking Kimberbell news, we actually have a special guest joining us. We have a couple of special guests. Some could say we even have a whole tour bus full of special guests. So I'm going to bring them up right now.
I need you guys to turn down your volume.
Hello. Or should I say top of the morning? How are you?
Oh my gosh, so good. Well, this turn me backward. Oh, well, there we go. That's a better view, right?
Perfect.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Everyone say hi.
Oh my
gosh. The coolest bus driver. Whoa, we're going to drive her around. We're stuck in traffic, so I thought, why not get on and say hello from Ireland?
Yeah, and even for being stuck in traffic, it looks beautiful. Show us out the window real quick.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's see. Here. Nothing too exciting.
Okay, well, it's still a nice fence.
Nice.
So it's like what,
You know,
5 o'clock where you guys are? So you're just getting done with the day. What have you been up to today?
oh my gosh, we just got back from, we just fed some sheep. It was so fun.
Yeah.
You guys, I have the best pictures to bring back and show you next week on What's New Wednesday. So much fun. So much fun. I can hear myself on everyone else's phones in here. No, but we just got back from a castle. No big deal. Just a little castle. So we did
It was an
that.
abbey.
Yeah, it was an abbey. Well, it was a castle, and then it was the nunnery. So anyway,
Palmore Abbey.
yeah,
Palmore.
Kilmore Abbey. That's where we just got back from. But then we went to a crystal carving demonstration, crystal cutting demonstration earlier today, and that was amazing. And look at the sheep. Look at the sheep. We got lots of these around here. Yep. So I got a really pretty ring that reminded me of quilting right there.
Hey, but I got one.
So, and there's a few others that got them too. Like, oh my gosh, like Janice. There we go. Got some over there. We're gonna go to a quilt shop, I think, tomorrow. I believe so. That should be
No, that's like in a few days.
or in a few days. So, and okay, I know a lot of you have asked if I kissed the Blarney Stone. Say hi, Ray.
Hey, everybody. Did you kiss the Blarney Stone,
The
Kim?
answer is I nosed the Barney Stone.
Blarney Stone.
Blarney, Barney,
The Blarney Stone.
Oh my gosh. I Eskimo kissed it because I cannot think the idea of germs and how many people have kissed that stone. I couldn't get past that. So I leaned back. I did the whole, leaning back thing. I have a video I'll show you next week on What's New Wednesday.
Totally kissed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
go
kissed
right
it.
dog.
Yep.
Yep, I did it.
He did. Yeah, and then he kissed me, and I said no, or
Yeah.
tried. There we go.
Those days are over now.
Yeah. Anyway, we're having a great time. We have the most amazing bus driver, Lee. Lee, say hello. Let's see, where are you? There we go. Oh.
Some more, Lee. Talk some more. Oh, yes.
How are y'all doing?
These,
Welcome to Ireland, to the leprechaun country.
yes.
Oh, beautiful.
We even saw a rainbow today, so that was kind of cool because how iconic is that? A rainbow in Ireland? What?
That's
pretty cool.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. How's the food been?
The food has been amazing. Oh my gosh. Love the food. Yeah.
Have you tried anything new while you've been over there?
You just don't want to have the black pudding. I'll just say that. You don't want the black pudding. But other than that, you'll have what guys?
With mushy peas.
Oh, mushy peas. I didn't do the mushy peas. You guys did the mushy peas?
But the pistachio.
Oh, there's like this pistachio cream that you can put on just about anything, croissants, pancakes, you name it, whatever.
That sounds good.
It was
Sounds like you should
amazing.
bring a recipe back.
Maybe for craft night.
Hey, okay. I feel like we just done the Irish, but I'm down to try.
You got to make Irish soda bread.
Oh, Irish soda bread,
Ooh.
very yummy. Irish butter, of course, very yummy.
Irish stew.
Irish stew. Show them what? What? Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can show you something. What is out there, guys? I can't even see.
It's probably be growing on the wall.
It's big. That is the.
Okay. So anyway, if you're not sure why I'm in Ireland or who's with me, just a few friends. We came out here for a craft tours, where Chris and I got to bring a whole bunch of ladies and a few good men out here, and we are touring all the sites here in Ireland, and then tomorrow we're going to do a project that will remind us of our experience here. So super excited about all of it.
Oh, that'll be so fun. Okay, I've got
Yeah.
2 more questions for you, and then I'll let you
Okay.
go.
All right.
We have a couple people who are asking, how's the weather like?
Very rainy. Yes.
Yeah.
Chris bought herself a yellow raincoat.
Cute. And
Nice,
you won't lose
Yes.
her.
The weather,
nice
the
and
weather
bright. We will
changes
not lose her.
frequently.
Yes.
The weather's changing all the time. It's sunny, it's rainy, it's blowing, it's calm. It just
Yeah. You get all 4 seasons in about an hour. So, but it's absolutely gorgeous. It's breathtaking. It's the most stunning country. I am so, so happy here. Can't stop smiling. Like I said on my Facebook post. So if you want to see lots of pictures, look at my Facebook post last night, probably around midnight our time,
what's the second
where
question?
One a
there's some
month.
beautiful pictures. So, oh, you brought some.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just grabbed a couple of them because, yeah, they're stunning. And also, I'm living vicariously through you. So,
Yeah,
I got
unbelievable.
some more of the cliff sides.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Amazing, amazing stuff. So having a great time. We just may do something like this again next year. We'll see. So anyway, what was your other question?
Oh, my other question, and this is because I genuinely don't know. Is this the first time What's New Wednesday's been international, or have you done it from another country before?
I think so. If you let's see, what's another country we've been to? No. There's nothing. Yeah, we definitely have, but we met a lady from Australia today who
Cool.
is a fan of Kimberbell, so that was exciting. And so that was pretty cool. And girlfriends, so
You
yep.
met a lady at the Blarney Stone
And
Castle
we
as well.
yep, we met another lady at the Blarney Stone that said, "Oh, I watch you on What's New Wednesday." So that was pretty exciting. I can't remember where she was from though.
I'm not
But
sure.
anyway, it's been great. We've had the best time. Can't wait to come back and tell you all about it because it's been awesome.
Hey, we're so excited. Yeah, keep those pictures coming, and you guys have fun
Okay.
and be safe.
All right, so everyone say goodbye.
Hello. Sláinte.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. I'm glad we could make that work. It's always, I don't know, it's always a little sketchy when you're dealing with, Wi-Fi and especially international. So glad we could make that work. It was really fun to see them. Okay, how about we get into it? How about we get into some What's New Wednesday and show off, I think one of the things that people are really super excited about, and that is the background quilting for Enchanted Winter. Now, if you are unfamiliar with Enchanted Winter, it is our new feature quilt that is coming out next week. It's actually shipping out to shops today. So if you're on a pre-order list with your shop, you might be getting it a little bit sooner. And one of the things that a lot of people were asking for last week is if we could spend some time doing a preview of Enchanted Winter and taking a closer look at it. And my answer to that is you're going to have to be patient. Okay. So I'll give you this picture to look at because next week when Kim's back, she is going to be talking all about Enchanted Winter, going over the blocks, going over all of the cute, sweet little details. And then just to make things interesting, we are going to be hosting a craft night on Thursday night where Kim and I will both be reimagining something on this Enchanted Winter quilt and making something totally new. So we have a lot of fun at craft night. We'd love to have you there. It'll be Thursday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Now, let's talk about these background quilting files, okay? So the bundle for those went on sale today, and as part of like the early bonus, because they're always on sale when they first come out, this bundle is, and I'm going to bring up a picture of the bundle while I'm talking about it. This bundle of these background quilting designs is on sale right now for $49 and 0 cents, $49 straight up. Normally, once it's been out for a little bit, that price will go up to $66. So if you love this, you should hop on it now. Let's take a look at some of these up close, some of these designs, because usually I have pictures to show you. Today, though, I'm super excited because I have the actual quilting samples so you can see how they stitch out in real life. Okay, let's start with the block by block design. So these are the ones that you'll use block by block in your quilting. They are so cute for backgrounds. This one is called Geometric 13, and it's got these kind of crisscrossing elements, and they're super pretty. I don't know. I've been thinking through like all of the things you could do with this quilt and looking especially at the 2 block by block designs. These designs scream mid-century modern to me. Like looking at them, there's something about them that makes me want to make like, look at this. Isn't this so fun? And just, I don't know, it's kind of got some retro vibes. And then these little snowflakes, they're supposed to be snowflakes. They remind me of Sputniks, you know, like how there was all the Sputnik decor and just, you know, the lights. And I don't know. I love it. It's so cute. But yeah, these are your 2 block by block quilting designs when you order them. Oh, and this is kind of funny. The camera's doing like an auto correction. And so it can definitely tell that this is orange. And so it's making me turn gray. Oh, well, that's fun. But anyway, these will come in all the sizes that you'll need. And again, they're so cute. So these 2 right here are the block by block designs. Now, let's talk about the clear blue tiles designs, okay? Because this bundle has 3 all over quilting designs, okay? And when I say all over quilting designs, these are designs that you can have over and over and over again, right? And they just repeat. And so it looks like it's been long armed and you can't tell where it stops and where it ends when you tile them over and over and over again. Okay. And yeah, there's a lot of people that are really, really getting into these designs. So like, so Cindy says they kind of look like chemistry atoms. They totally do. And Gail says that she likes that they are gorgeous and they don't look holiday specific. Yeah. Isn't that fun? Because even though they're like technically snowflakes, you could use these for so many things, right? Same with this guy. And Anita, I don't know where your comment went, but Anita had a comment that said that they kind of looked like tulips. That would be so fun. Like, wouldn't this be fun with the floral? I don't know. I love the mixture of like really feminine quilting or, you know, really feminine patterns in your fabric or in your quilt, and then mixing it with kind of the more geometric, neutral background quilting designs. I don't know. There's something about it that just tickles my brain. It makes me happy. Anyway, let's talk about these background quilting designs or these clear blue tiles designs. Okay. I'm going to start with, okay, this is stunning. Like, look at these snowflakes. Isn't that pretty? And it really makes me think of the whole, like, no 2 snowflakes are exactly alike because there's so many different kinds on here. Aren't these just so pretty? I don't know. I'm already thinking of things that I can make with this because it's just stunning. Okay. Next one that's really fun. Ooh, I love this. Okay. And when we say these designs, even though they're made for this winter quilt, a lot of them aren't super holiday specific. You get this one with these trees. Isn't that pretty? I don't know. It makes me think of like ice skating or a frozen lake. It's just so pretty, but it also, you know, and I think part of the reason why my brain goes there is because it's on this blue color. I think if you were doing like a camping theme quilt, something like this would be so pretty with that too. Okay. So fun. All right. Last one in the all over quilting designs, the clear blue tiles designs, is this one with these little, like, I don't know, holly berries, kind of these little berries. So you've got little leaves, little berries. And this one feels very cozy for me. This one feels like it's got kind of some winter vibes, but, you know, really, truly, for example, I love to go camping. The place I love to go camping the most has huckleberry bushes. And these aren't exactly huckleberries, but I feel like, again, if you were doing like a camping themed quilt, this would probably blend in right on it. Okay. Ooh, JC, I love this idea. She needs a purse with the snowflakes. Girl, I might steal that idea for craft night next week. I actually really like where that's going. Oh, this is cute. Anita says that her friend owns a Christmas tree farm, so it'd be so cute to use that to make a gift. Okay. So all of these designs, oh, and we have one more. Oh my gosh. And how could I even forget this one? Because this is one of my favorites. All right. So we have the border designs on this one. So I'm going to do this a little sneaky. I'm going to show you the skinny inner border first. Okay. And it's pretty simple. Okay. It kind of looks like a frozen lake. It's got that ice skating vibe. But again, with this kind of meandering trail going on here, you could use this for all sorts of things, but really like the stunner, I think, okay, I'm not sure which one I love more. Okay. Because these snowflakes, they're a stunner, but this border design, okay, when we look at the thick border, look how cute this is. Okay. You've got your little trees, your little house, your little snowflakes, and it's just so cozy. Like there's even little stars. Are you kidding me? So cute. So this border design, I think this might be my standout. Whenever I'm looking at a background quilting bundle, I have to pick one that's a standout. So I think I'd pick this little cabin in the woods. And again, it repeats. It's so cute. And I don't know, I also really like the snowflakes. Which one's your favorite out of this whole group? And you know what? Somebody said that this one looks like mistletoe. That's a good point. It probably is mistletoe, not holly. I always get my Christmas berries mixed up. But anyway, super pretty. Okay. And yeah, Madeline, you hit the nail on the head. It is an enchanting border. It absolutely is. Okay. And yeah, Mary Ellen, I'm with you. This little house with the forest border is a new fave. I mean, look at how cute that is. Okay. So pretty. I don't know. It just like, it makes me want to cozy up and get me a hot chocolate and sit by the fire and watch the snow coming down. So this is so fun. Okay. So those are the new background quilting designs. Like I said, they're in a bundle right now on sale for $49. And normally they are going to be $66. So hop on those now while they're on that discount. Okay. And what's fun, I have people asking for the discount code, and you don't need it. It automatically applies when you add it to your cart. So if you add that, you should be good to go. Okay. Now, speaking of background quilting designs, we do have a little bit of a sale going on right now. Okay. And I'm going to bring up this graphic. Right now, our background quilting designs are on sale through the month of September, and it's a tiered discount system. So if you were to buy, $1 to $39 or $30.99, so basically any background quilting, because they're all at least $1, you get 20% off. Pretty cool. For $31 to $50.99, the second tier, that's 30% off. For 40% off, if you're buying between $51 and $99, which is going to be most of the general background quilting bundle. So if you've had your eye on one for a minute, this is probably a really good time to get it, because it'll hit one of those higher discount tiers. And if you're looking at buying one or more of those bundles, or even just collecting collecting some of your favorite individual designs, if you order over $100, and again, it's got to be in the same transaction, so make sure they're all in your cart, then you get 50% off. That's crazy. Okay. And yeah, it makes some of them $6. It makes some of them about $4.50. So cute. I have a couple people who are asking if this bundle, the new Enchanted Winter one, is included in that sale. I don't think so, because it's new and it's already discounted. But add it to your cart and see what happens, I guess would be my advice. Social media team, chime in if I'm giving them the wrong information, but I don't think that one's included in the overall sale. Okay. But yeah, they're so cute and so fun, and just, I don't know, I really like building my library up with the ones that are, kind of like this guy, where you can use it for a variety of purposes. Okay. Because whenever you're doing something, it just adds that little extra bit of charm. And it's nice to have a catalog of ones you can pick from that aren't, obviously it's fun to have the, really cutesy Valentine's Day ones, right? Those are so fun. And the really, really specific ones, but I like having just my general geometric, my stipples, my swirls, so that I have those that I can just plug and go in anything I'm making. Okay. Alrighty. So yep, that is our background quilting sale. Okay. Next thing I was hoping to talk about is our modified Sew and Tell. Okay. So every week we do a little segment called Sew and Tell, where we show off your projects from the Kimberbells and Fellows Facebook group. I'm going to do it a little bit different this time. And instead of showing off your projects, I am going to leave those for Kim next week. Actually, I have a feel I know they're having a good time. I know she's Wonder Woman, but I have a feeling she's going to be tired when she gets back. So I'm going to let her pick a lot of those because you guys have been working on some really cool projects. But what I want to spend today's Sew and Tell doing is answering some of the questions that you guys left in the comments last week. So I'll play the little intro and let's get into it. Okay, welcome to Sew and Tell with Kimberbell. And as I'm showing these questions, if you have any, if you have any advice for these people, feel free to chime in, because the more we work together, the smarter we are together. And really, there's new things you can learn every day. And if you have questions, feel free to add them in, and we'll try and answer them, or maybe somebody else will be able to answer your question for you. Okay. So the first question I wanted to talk about today comes from our friend Eleanor. So Eleanor has two questions. First is, what do you do with your scraps of batting and stabilizer? Do you sew them together and reuse them? And two, is there a time where you wouldn't want to use batting or stabilizer that was repieced together? Okay, so I went up and I asked our product development team. I actually put a thing in. We have a system called Slack where we just do group chats throughout the company. So I put something in our Slack channel to ask, hey, everybody who works at Kimberbell, what are your thoughts on this? And I really like the advice that we got back from Melissa, who is in our product development lab. And she says, she likes to save her weird little batting pieces, because there's by the time let's see, do I have one here that's got it? I don't have one here ready to go, but by the time you clean up your blocks after the tack down lines and whatnot, you're going to end up with some kind of odds and ends little batting pieces. She likes to save those because she uses it for stuffing for her stuffies. Okay. She also, and I agree with this, I do this too. She keeps all the weird pieces of sticky back wash away stabilizer, because you can use that to patch, when you have your sticky back stabilizer and you're slicing off that top layer of paper so that you can get to the sticky stuff. it's not difficult to accidentally slice through more than you intended, right? So if that happens, you can actually just use another little piece of sticky back stabilizer and patch it just like a bike tire. And then you don't have to cut a whole new sheet. Your sheet will be good to go. I also use sticky back whenever I tear a different kind of like you guys have met me, okay? Sometimes I put things through my machine that maybe I shouldn't, okay? I feel so bad because, so my machine's a used one, and based on the lady who was selling it, sold me a lot of her stuff with it. And based on the stitch count on it and based on what came with it, I am fairly certain that she mostly just did monograms on towels. Okay, I think that was her thing. She eventually upgraded her machine, and hopefully she is, you know, still out monogramming more towels. But my poor machine, I feel like it probably feels like the toys in Toy Story when they end up at Sid's house. Okay, because I'm always running things through it that's like, okay, maybe it's too thick for this, or I don't know if it can actually do that. So I rip a lot of stabilizer, and you know, sometimes it's something that just happens, but it's nice to have those sticky back scraps so you can just do a little patch and then it'll wash away when you're done, and it's like it never happened. So good stuff. As far as the other parts of Eleanor's question about what do you do about like sewing the batting and stabilizer together, as far as batting goes, I have no issue with Franken batting, okay? And Franken batting is what happens when you take two pieces of batting. I'm going to use these for our example, and you put them together. And then what you're going to do as they're kind of like butted up against each other is just use a zigzag stitch to just attach them to each other. It works great. Okay. I've used that for Kimberbell quilts. I've used it for like, I use it for batting when I'm making like baby quilts and all sorts of things. I don't usually use my Franken batting for like block by block quilting just because I'm usually working in small enough pieces that I don't need to use it. But everything's so expensive these days. You might as well reuse what you can. Okay. As far as reusing, ooh, this is a good idea. Cindy uses her batting scraps to clean up threads on her cutting table. Yeah, that's totally true. Okay. Yeah, so there's lots of things you can do. And yeah, it's really fun to see all of your advice. Everybody's coming through. So yeah, that's our first question with Eleanor. Okay, next one. And this is a really good question because this is something that I struggle with, and posting this in the Kimberbell employee chat, it's something that a lot of us struggle with, especially when we're new. Okay. And Wendy wants to know some tips for binding. Okay. So one of the things that we highly recommend, and Becky specifically, I want to give a shout out to Becky because she reminded me about this, is as you are either new to machine embroidery or whether you have been doing it forever and you want a refresher, or maybe, you know, maybe you're self-taught and you've kind of figured out your own way to do things, but maybe you want to see a different way of approaching some of those techniques, you should check out the Kimberbell resource guide. Okay. It comes free with most of our digital downloads, most of our quilts. And when you put like either your download code or when you download it from our website, that Kimberbell resource guide will be in that folder. So I bet if you've got stuff in your library, you probably have a copy of it. But what's really nice is it walks you through step by step how to do a lot of different things. So Becky says that she was personally found it very helpful because she followed the step-by-step binding guide in there, and her binding turned out beautifully. Okay. The other thing that she recommends is making sure that your project is all squared up before you start binding, and then you don't have to worry about like waviness while you're trying to bind it. It's just straight and it's easy. I also want to point out Sarah, who's also in our product dev team. She really likes to use the little quilting clips, but instead of like clipping her whole binding around before she starts quilting, she'll just do like 6 to 12 inches at a time and then sew that and then kind of like shift her clips down. And then you don't have to do it all at once. And those clips really keep things in place. So brilliant. Love that advice. Love it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and another thing, somebody said that they like to use their scrap pieces of sticky back wash away as tape. Isn't that fun? Because it's sticky, might as well, right? And it can go through the machine, no questions asked. Okay, next question. And I thought this was a really fun one. Brenda wants to know, do all quilts need a border, or is it okay to leave it off? And you know what, Brenda? The answer is absolutely that's okay. Because guess what? The quilting police, not real, not a thing. And you can do whatever you want when you're making your quilts, okay? And in fact, one of the easiest ways, like specifically if you're looking at, like, there's a lot of reasons why you may want to add a border or leave off a border, you know, personal preference, what kind of aesthetics you want. But really messing with your borders is one of the easiest ways that you can change the size of your quilt. So if you want it a little bit bigger, either do wider borders or like just add on a whole nother border around. And if you're looking at the space where you want to hang your quilt and it's just like a little too big, leave your borders off or do more narrow ones. So like, for example, I was just playing around in Photoshop. This is Enchanted Winter, and this one on the left, it might be the right. Sometimes these get flipped, but I think it's the left on your screen, has the border as intended in the instructions, okay? And it's beautiful, and it adds, I don't know, it adds kind of the focal point. And most Kimberbell quilts will have 2 layers of border, right? We'll have the little skinny one, and then we'll have a thicker one, okay? I just played around in Photoshop, and I took off that thicker border, so you just had the little inner one. And you know what? I think it's gorgeous too if you wanted to do it that way. And if you are like, you know what, I actually don't want any border at all, I would invite you to take a look at our mini quilts. They are absolutely stunning. All of them are super cute. And guess what? None of them have borders. Okay. That being said, I've also seen people add borders to these, and they're really cute. So basically, the long and the short of it is, Brenda, you can do whatever you want. Okay. Whatever you want. There are no rules. Okay. Next question is, we had a lot of people asking about background quilting. Okay. They want demos on background quilting. They want to know, you know, what the different colors mean. They want to know how to use their clear blue tiles. I mean, we've probably had, I wouldn't be surprised if we had at least 30 people asking about background quilting. And I actually have really good news for you. If you are one of those people that's like, hey, I have clear blue tiles and I've been meaning to use, and I haven't used them yet, like they kind of intimidate me, or maybe you're just, you know, interested to see if clear blue tiles are right for you. We are actually hosting a Clear Blue Tiles seminar on September 30th. It'll be at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And you can sign up for that either on YouTube or on our Facebook page. I think the social media team is going to drop some links so that you can sign up and RSVP. That being said, the seminar will live on even after, right? So even if you have, let's say you have plans, you have something that you've had on the calendar forever on September 30th at 10 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time, you're totally good. Still sign up, because then you can watch the recording of it after, okay? And I'm also going to send all of the questions y'all asked about clear blue tiles and background quilting to the team that's putting together that webinar. Kim's going to be hosting it. It's going to be great, but then they have access to your questions and they can see, you know, what kind of things people are asking. I also have a little video for Kim. We didn't know if she'd be able to join us today. We didn't know if we were going to be able to make that work or not. So I do have a little video from her about that webinar. So let's watch it real quick.
Hi everyone, would you like to get your background quilting done for all your quilt projects on your embroidery machine? You can do that with Clear Blue Tiles. Now, if you're someone who's purchased this and it's still sitting in that box, it's time to get those out. Or maybe you're just curious as to what Clear Blue Tiles can do to make your machine embroidery experience so good. Well, I hope you'll join me for a free webinar September 30th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time over on Facebook and YouTube. I'll see you then.
Awesome. So yeah, it'll be super fun. It'll be very educational. And if you want to dip your toes into clear blue tiles and background quilting, I'd recommend you start there because it's going to be awesome. Okay. Next question I wanted to talk about today. And what I did when I was picking these questions is I tried to pick ones that I saw either a couple times or like kind of similar themes, right? Because maybe people didn't ask the exact same question, but in answering one person's question, we'd answer a second person's, right? Those kind of things. So I wanted to talk a second about Sue's question about how do we prep for a large project? Like, let's say we're making the new Enchanted Winter quilt. Okay. So I'm going to give you the official Kimberbell advice, and then I'm going to give you the Cassie advice. Okay. So the official advice, this is Kim's method. And you know what? It works beautifully. What she likes to do is cut out all of the pieces, like follow your cut list, cut out all of your pieces. And then what she does, do I have any with me? I don't have any, but she gets little like reusable, resealable bags. And she makes a little baggie for each block of the quilt. So like, if we were doing Star Spangled Beauty, we'd make a block, like a little baggie with all the fabric and all the stabilizer I need for this Let Freedom ring block. Okay. And then I'd make another baggie with all the stabilizer and it's upside down, all of the stabilizer and all the fabric that I need for this block. Right. And eventually I'm going to have as many baggies as I have blocks. And then I can go forward and just do one block at a time until my quilt's done. Okay. And I love that. I think that's a great system. What I found when I'm doing bigger projects, what I really like to do, this is my process. Okay. You can pick and choose the parts that you like, is first off, I like to give my craft room a good tidy before I dive into a big project. Okay. I am a little bit of a chaos gremlin when it comes to the craft realm. And so I usually have 2 or 3 or 7 projects I'm working on at any given time. And what that translates to is you can't always see the floor in my sewing room. Okay. So whenever I'm starting a big project, I like to get like all the loose threads thrown away and all the like scraps of stabilizer and whatnot. And then I just start from a clean slate. Okay. Pack up my, various UFOs so that they're out of the way and I'm not, mind cluttered by it. Okay. The next thing I like to do, again, before I even get started, is I like to skim through all the instructions of what I'm working on. I don't need to read it like exactly, but I just like to look through and know, okay, these are kind of the techniques I'm going to be working with. And if there's something that I'm looking at it and it's kind of scaring me before I get into it, I like to know about that going into it beforehand so that I can like, watch some YouTube videos or ask somebody before I get to that step and panic. Because the other thing is I'm usually doing my crafting, doing my machine embroidery pretty late at night. If I have a question during the daytime, I'm set. I have a ton of people I can ask. And whether that's somebody who works at Kimberbell, whether it's somebody at my quilt shop, I've got people I can ask. Can't always do that at 2 a.m, right? So I like to know where I'm going to run into fiddly bits beforehand so I can make a game plan before it happens, okay? Then what I like to do, it's similar to Kim's bag method, but a little different, is I have a big whiteboard, okay? And it's really just like a big sheet of melamine. Here's a picture of it. You can get them at Lowe's or Home Depot. I think they actually come in a bigger size than this. I'm pretty sure mine's like 4 feet long. I want to say it's like 4 feet by 3 feet. Inflation has really hit these guys because they used to be like $6, but I think they go on sale sometimes. Anyway, what I like to do is I like to get a big old whiteboard. And then what I do is I basically grid out what what blocks I'm working on. And then I will cut out the stabilizer and cut out the fabric. And I will just like straight up tape them to my whiteboard. So like I'll have everything in section, block 1, all of those things are just taped to the board. And then it's easy for me to see and it doesn't take up a lot of space, right? Because I find that I like to keep my floors open when I'm working on a big project so I can spread out my finished blocks. If there's little baggies all over my floor, I'm going to get overwhelmed, okay? I also really like doing the Elizabeth Hartman quilts, and those are a lot of little pieces. I like being able to tape those up as I'm going because again, I like being able to see that visual all in one go. Okay. And then before I get started, I like to gather all my threads, stabilizers, tools. There's nothing worse than when you're like partway through a project and you realize, and I've done this before, I need a bright green color and I don't have any bright green threads, right? Or I'm going to need a specific kind of topper and I don't have it. So I like to make sure I have everything good to go. And then I like to preload a bunch of bobbins. Like before I get going, I know you can buy pre-wound bobbins, but I like to just wind them myself and I'll make like 20 of them so that I don't have to spend time going back and forth doing that. And then let's go, let's rock and roll. So, and you know what? You guys are putting some really good advice here too. And Mary Ellen says that she checks YouTube first so she can see the big picture. That's a really good idea. Anita really likes sew-alongs. That's so fun. Yeah, she watches all the sew-alongs before she gets started. Dawn, I really like this. She does the baggies, but she puts her whole project into a fabric bin so that she can keep her baggies in order. Okay. Very, very cool. Ooh, I like this. Betsy uses paper plates and she writes the block name on the edge and then you can just stack them. Ooh, that's a smart idea. That's a really smart idea. Okay. So you guys, so many fun things you can do. But yeah, that's how I'd approach a big project. Okay. Next question is, I don't know if this is really so much a question as it is a thing the people want. So let's give the people what they want. A lot of people were asking for Thanksgiving projects, or they were asking for fall projects, or asking for Halloween projects. We're right in that time of year where we want to make those fall things. So I'm going to show you how to make a Halloween project in just a minute, but I wanted to give you some ideas of what you could do for Thanksgiving in particular, because it felt like that seemed to be where the majority of the questions were leaning. So if somebody were to challenge me to a Thanksgiving project, probably what I'd do is I'd take a look at the blocks in Kimberbell's Sweet as Pie, and I'd see what I could do with these. I think it'd be really fun to make like an apron with a pie on it or make tea towels. The other thing I've been playing with, and by playing with, I've been thinking about it, but I haven't actually done anything with it, is it'd be kind of fun to make like a pie carrier, like a little bag that like kind of I don't know. I'm thinking of like the Pyrex carriers, right? Where it's got a handle and it wraps it and it keeps it insulated, but then you can take it on the go. I think making one of those with a pie on it would be super, super cute. And again, I asked Kimberbell employees, what are some things you guys have done or what ideas do you have? And Camilla sent me this really cute pillow that she made. And she put together blocks from Falling for Autumn, which is this quilt right here. Isn't this pretty? It's one of our absolute favorites. Okay, she put together blocks from Falling for Autumn. And then this one is called, what is this one called? I think it's called So Much to Be Grateful For, or So Much to Be Thankful For, something like that. And this is one of our Thanksgiving pillows. It is 22 by 22. So she combined blocks from these two. And I believe there's also a couple perfectly pieced blocks floating in there as well. And she was able to turn it into a bench pillow. Didn't that turn out so cute? Camilla has the best ideas. She's so awesome. The other place I recommend checking if you are looking for ideas, and this happens whether it's Thanksgiving or any time of year, okay, you should check out the Kimberbella blog, because Jenny is a freaking wizard, okay? And she has so many good lists of different projects you can make that kind of accumulate a bunch of different Kimberbell stuff in one place, okay? Somebody had asked, like, you know, hey, when you're doing your mashup quilts, how do you keep track of all the different Christmas projects? Or how do you keep track of all the different summer projects, right? Like, how do you find these things? My secret, I go to Jenny's blog, okay? Because I can look at like this article. I just screenshot this one because it's a really good one. 14 fabulous fall product projects. And it's going to list out 14 awesome Kimberbell fall projects. And I can look in that and use that as a starting point for identifying which kind of blocks I want to use. Okay. Next thing is we had a lot of people who were asking for various tutorial requests. Okay. And some of them I have it written down to share with the content team of like, hey, we really should put together a tutorial on this because the people are asking, and it's a good idea because if one person's asking, there's probably a lot of people asking. But I wanted to point out a couple in particular that are already on our YouTube page if you were one of the people asking for one of these things specifically, okay? Because these are good. These are actually tutorials I've followed, so I can vouch for them. And I recommend you start there. If you've got follow-up questions after watching the tutorial, we can totally handle those. But I'd recommend starting with these. So if you want to stitch on leather, whether it's one of the foldable leather totes or whether it's one of the leather snap trays, I'd start with this tutorial from Kim. It's from What's New Wednesday a couple months ago. And she just shows you how to hoop, what kind of topper you need to use, all of the tips and tricks to have a successful experience stitching on leather. Okay. We also had a lot of people who had questions about stitching on sweatshirts. Okay. So the two tutorials I would point you towards for that would be to how to embroider the Choose Kindness design on a sweatshirt. We've got Katie here. She's showing you how to stitch it on a kid's sweatshirt, but it's going to work the same way on a grown-up sweatshirt. You're going to use the same materials. You're just going to be working with a bigger canvas, okay? We also had a few people asking, how would you go about embroidering on the sleeve of a sweatshirt? This tutorial right here is awesome, okay? And Kim will walk you through what you need to do and like how to unstitch your sleeve. So, and how to hoop it so that you are stitching on that sleeve. Okay. Last one I wanted to point out in kind of this question is rope bowls. Okay. I love this rope bowl tutorial. It's a really good one. And it just walks you through step-by-step how you would go about making a Kimberbell rope bowl. Okay. The other thing, if you are ever working on a project, okay, and maybe you can't find a Kimberbell specific tutorial for it, we have hundreds of shops, okay? Hundreds of shops who sell Kimberbell products, and a lot of them make their own YouTube videos and put them online. So like, let's say I'm making, you know, Quilty Little Christmas, okay? And I have a question about how to make the gingerbread block or how to make the mailbox block, okay? I literally can go type into YouTube, Kimberbell Quilty Little Christmas sew along or Kimberbell Quilty Little Christmas tutorial, and it's going to bring up a bunch of awesome shop owners and awesome shop educators who have made that and are walking through how to do that. So pretty cool. And if you watch one of those videos and it helps you, it also helps to support the shop after that. Okay. Because they put a lot of work and effort into those. But what I really like about the shop videos is usually it's the educators who are showing you how to make this thing. And that's their whole job, right? Like their whole job is to help people understand how to use their machines and how to make embroidery projects and how to make sewing projects. So you are literally coming from the experts. Okay. So yeah, that's what we've got. Okay. Okay, perfect. We've got a lot of y'all saying very nice things to each other, and I love that. Okay. So let's go into, since we've talked about that, how about we do the demo? Okay. Cause I was thinking instead of just like reading your questions and answering them, which is fun. Don't get me wrong. We've been having fun. Some of the things, it's easier to answer your questions while we do things. So I wanted to answer a few of those as we go while showing you how I made. Okay, are you ready for my Halloween project? I made a quilted witch hat, okay? I'm super excited about this. So what I did is I used perfectly piece blocks to put together the quilt, or to put together the fabric that I used to form the hat. And then I actually did some, you can kind of see I did some background quilting on it. Okay, so let's walk through some more questions and I will tell you how I made this hat. Okay, maybe I'll wear the hat. That'd be fun. Okay, so let's talk about where we started. Okay, so I've been seeing people making cute witches hats all over the internet. Okay, and I thought, you know what? I bet we could do something like that with our embroidery machine, and I bet we could do something with that on background quilting. Okay, so what I did is I looked around at some different, different designs, and there's so many different witch hats sewing patterns out there. Okay. So if you see one you like, go for it. This one right here is the free witch hat sewing pattern by Heather Handmade. Okay. Here's what I really like about it. Okay. First, it's free. Okay. We love a good free pattern. 2, she has step-by-step directions on how to make every step of this hat. I'll tell you where I differed from what she did so that I could do the embroidery version, because hers is just sewn, right? It doesn't have the quilting and it's super cute. But it's a little different than ours. Okay. And I like that she had the instructions. I like that she actually has you measure your head, and she provides different sizes so that you can have a hat that actually fits you. Or like, let's say your toddler is going to be wearing a different size hat than his grandpa will, right? So that way you can adjust it to better fit. And then the last thing on why I liked this particular pattern is, you're not gonna be able to see it because I left mine out in case we had questions about the inside, but she has a way to attach the lining of the hat that does a really good job hiding all of this kind of gunk that you have on the edges. So the way the hat came together, it made sense. It was easy. So if you want to make that, full props go to Heather Handmade. And I think our social team has a link that they can plop in the comments here. But Heather Handmade, free witch hat sewing pattern, super cute. Okay, so the first thing I did is I needed to figure out what I was doing for my quilting part, okay? And whenever I am looking for like quilting block ideas, I turn to Perfectly Pieced, okay? And I've had this particular block, this is the February 2025 block, on my radar ever since it came out because I love it. I am such a sucker for stars in any way, shape, or form. Most of my favorite quilt blocks are some form of star. So I wanted to make something with this, and it seemed like the perfect opportunity to do that. This fabric is actually something that I've had it stashed forever. I got it a while back to make a quilt for one of my friends when she bought a house, and she is definitely one of those people that is Halloween decor, all year round. And I've started that quilt many times and I have not finished it, but I know I've got extra fabric. So I was like, I'm going to use it. This is some of my favorite fabric. I'm going to do it. It's super cute. Okay. So what I did is I took a piece of graph paper and I mathed out, I used Heather's instructions for how much fabric I was going to need. And instead of cutting a 1/2 yard piece of fabric to make my outers on my hat, what I did is I made in air quotes, a 1/2 yard piece of fabric out of my Perfectly Pieced blocks. Okay. And in measuring it, if I were to do another one of these, I use the 6-inch blocks. You can pick any Perfectly Pieced pattern you want. But if you use the 6-inch blocks, you are going to need 18 of those blocks. Okay. And let's just kind of like sneak peek real quick and show you how I had those laid out. It'll look a lot like this. Okay. So you'll have 6 across the top. And then, or 3 rows of 6, basically you need 3 full stars because it takes 4 blocks to make a star and 3 half stars. Okay. And that gets you, I think in her original instructions, you're supposed to do the hat outside, the brim outside and the brim inside, all out of your out fabric. I wanted to do my brim out of the inside fabric, so I didn't make extra blocks for that. Okay. So what we did is after I picked my Perfectly Pieced blocks, I went ahead and stitched them all out, and I used the block by block quilting so that I'd have a little bit of batting in there. And I just didn't do the quilting step because I wanted to do a clear blue tiles quilting all over it at the end. Okay. Or not at the end, but in the next step. Okay. So as far as stabilizer, I wanted to try something different. Usually when I'm doing the Perfectly Pieced blocks, I will do either an ultra lightweight or a lightweight cutaway stabilizer. And I will plan on leaving that in my project because it's just part of it. Okay. At that point, I guess a couple people had asked, why I'm bringing this up is people had asked how you go about picking stabilizer for your project. So I wanted to talk through why I picked the different stabilizers I used. So that when you come to that decision, when you come to a point where you're trying to decide what stabilizers to use, then you can learn from my mistakes. So normally what I do is I'd use a cutaway. Okay. And I'd use a lightweight one because when it's lightweight, it still keeps your stuff nice and pliable. Okay. Really good drape. Especially with like the piecing, because this isn't super dense stitching, right? Like when you look at how it stitches out, it's not a whole bunch of stitching on top of each other. Okay. I had heard somewhere that you could use tearaway stabilizer when you're doing the piecing and then you can tear it away after. And I thought, you know what? I've got some tearaway stabilizer sheets. It's on sale right now. Or is it a couple weeks ago it was on sale? I'm sorry. I wanted to try it out, see if I like doing my pieces that way. And you know what? As far as stitching goes, stitching on the tearaway wasn't bad. I just realized though, when I went to go tear out the pieces of stabilizer, I don't want to do that. I don't love tearing out little bits of stabilizer out of things. That's just not my deal. So I decided, you know what? We're going to leave the tearaway stabilizer in there. So that's what stabilizer I used. Kind of my rule of thumb is 9 times out of 10, I'm probably using a cutaway stabilizer and I'm planning on leaving it inside the project. If I don't want to leave it inside the project, then I'm going to be looking at some of the other options. Okay. So after I stitched out my blocks, what I did next is I had to cut them out. Okay. Because when you first do your blocks, you're going to have you're going to be still attached to your stabilizer. You're going to have some overhang fabric. And so I wanted to answer this question that also came up a lot. I'd say this is probably the number one question that got asked was the clear blue tiles. Number 2 was give me some ideas for fall and Thanksgiving projects. Number 3 was probably how to use orange pop rulers. So I wanted to bring up Teresa's question here, and I wanted to give you guys a quick demo on how I used orange pop rulers for this, okay? And I need to apologize. I made an extra set of blocks so that I could do this demo, and I even put them on my counter with a big note that said, don't forget witch hat and orange pop ruler blocks. And guess what? I brought the hat, didn't bring the blocks. So what we're gonna do is, sorry, my nose is itchy. There's something going on that I'm allergic to. But what we're going to do is try to do what we do at craft night, where we just kind of bring the laptop down and then you can see it. And I will give you kind of a quick demo of how I like to use orange pop rulers. Okay. And let me tell you, orange pop rulers are probably my favorite Kimberbell product. Okay. If you were to tell me Cassie, you only get to use one Kimberbell thing moving forward, after that, you were cut off, I would pick orange pop rulers. They are my ride or die. I use them on every single quilt I make now. And I truly don't know how I was making quilts before I found them. Okay. I don't know how that worked. Okay. So let's take a look. What is so nice about about orange pop rulers is they nest. Okay. So when you buy them, you are getting either the rectangle set or the square set, and they come nested together. Okay. So this is the rectangle set right here. Okay. And that makes it so you can pick your different sizes. Okay. So you've got this one cuts down to a 4x6 block. This one, this medium size one cuts down to a 6x8 block. And they actually have, I don't know if you can see it, but they have it written on them what it is. And then this guy right here is an 8x10 block. Okay. So what you're going to do when you are doing your orange pop rulers is you're going to decide which size you want. So this is a little scrap piece, but we're going to pretend we're turning it into a block. Okay. I'm going to put it down, and I like to use a rotating cutting mat. Okay. And I specifically like to use the Kimberbell one because, and you can tell, this is mine that I bought with my own money. But I like it because it doesn't come apart. Okay. I am so rough on some of my sewing things, so it's really nice to have a mat that doesn't go anywhere. Okay. So you're going to lay it out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pick the orange pop ruler in the size you want. I like to just do the one that is the actual size I'm looking for. Okay. Some people like to keep them nested because, especially when you get to the bigger size ones, it makes it easier to keep everything all together. Personal preference, I like to just do the one that's the size. Okay. What you're going to do is you use your orange pop rulers to line up the way you want it. It's got 2 little arrows here, one on the bottom, actually has 4, one on the top and bottom, one on each side. And that way you can center it up exactly. So let's say I want my center to be where these stars are. I'm going to line up so that my center arrows match with that directly. Okay. And same deal. I want this to center here. Okay. And if I wanted to get all fancy and draw on it, I could. This is a block that is, it obviously didn't make the cut. So that's why we are literally cutting it up. Okay. What's really nice about orange pop rulers is not only can you center it with the arrows, you can visually center it too. Okay. So I know looking at this is going to cut off this part of this. Okay. And I don't like that. So I can slide this over and I can see exactly what my cutting range is going to be. Okay. And maybe I want to get crazy. Maybe I want to do something diagonal. Okay. So that I'm not getting anything on my stars cut off. Right. I can totally do that. All right. So once I have it set up the way I want, I'm going to take my rotary cutter. I'm going to turn off our safety. And all you're going to do is just cut along these channels. Okay. And what's really cool, and this is what sets orange pop rulers apart from other rulers that you might find out there, are these little grooves right here, these little corner grooves, because your rotary blade can just go right in there and you don't have to adjust. It is so freaking slick. Okay. Let's see if I've got enough room that I can rotate this. It's going to be a little tight, but we can do it. Okay, and then you're just gonna keep holding this down. I know some people like to use fabric weights when they do the rotating, but you're just gonna go and you can cut, okay? And you can rotate, sorry, all 4 around. Or sometimes I'll do like the 2 long sides, and then I will do the short sides. But what happens is you end up with, oh, and my rotary blade's like a little bit dull, so we might need to do just like a little pulling, but there's your block right there, good to go, okay? And it's, sorry, it's perfectly sized up, it's perfectly square. And so when you are putting together your Kimberbell quilt, because these orange pop rulers are cut to be, like they're designed to be the same size as all of our blocks, that way you know you're ending up with the exact right size block and it's going to stitch together with the other blocks very nicely, okay? The other thing that I really like to do with my orange pop rulers, and I specifically use the square ones for these, but I mean, again, you can use whatever you like, okay, is I am such a fan of fussy cutting, okay? I love picking out I like using, like for example, in this one, I like using obnoxious fabrics, okay? Like for, like you can kind of see this one with these potion bottles, right? That one, I want to be picking the prettiest potion bottles, right? I want to be picking the prettiest witch boots. I want to be, you know, specifically doing what I can to get this little cat in here, okay? I love fussy cutting. So let's say you've got a pattern. I'm going to use, you know what, for example, let's use the snowflakes. Where did our snowflakes from Enchanted Winter go? Okay, I know I want to use, like, let's pretend this is my snowflake fabric, and I know that snowflake right here is my favorite. I can use my orange pop rulers to center that up and make sure I have that in my block, okay? So then I know this one's in there. I'm going to see that snowflake in my fabric. They also come with like little guys. This one comes in the square set, so you can do it with an even smaller one. And what's fun is you can line this one up with the diagonals and line up even more centering places. And it's super slick. I'm not kidding when I tell you I use my orange pop rulers on every project. So that was the next step. That's kind of our quick and dirty demo on orange pop rulers. If you've got any questions about them, let us know, but they're great. Let's see. I'm trying to see if we have any other questions. Oh yeah, a couple people have questions about the grips. So when you order them, these ones don't have them on there. These are our demo set that we use for trade shows, but when you get it, they will come with little stickers, okay? They'll come with little stickers that you can stick on them. And what those are little grippies so that they grip to your stuff even better, okay? What I'd recommend if you're having a hard time keeping your orange pop rulers to stay still is you can try different cutting mats, okay? I don't know what it is that makes this one staticky, okay? I sound like a shill every time I talk about it, but I really like this one because it has a good, like the backside of it grips to whatever I have it sitting on really well. And I feel like whatever I have on top of it, including those little orange pop ruler grippies, grip to this thing really well. I have a different rotating cutting mat that I got from Amazon. I don't like to use it because, well, first of all, the lines on it are wrong, but also it's like, I feel like things are slip sliding. So if you're having a hard time getting your orange pop rulers to stay in place, I'd say, first of all, look at your cutting surface. And if you have a different cutting mat to try it on, try that, even if it's not a rotating one, right? Like maybe it'll make more sense for you to do it on your big cutting mat. Whatever it is, I'd try it on a different cutting surface. Okay. Second thing I'd recommend if you are having a hard time with these slipping around is I've seen a lot of people use like fabric pattern weights on top of them. So like if you've got, you know, this here and I'm worried about it slipping, if you put just like little, I don't know, like just the little weights on this, it'll add like a little bit more pressure and it'll stay put, okay? The third thing I'd say is I've seen a lot of people use, what are they called? When you're using the like magnetic cutting mats, these are thin enough that in most cases, the magnets that you'll put on your magnetic cutting mat, like I'm thinking the Caterpillar ones, you can usually just magnet these straight to your project too. So that's an option as well. Keep trying a couple different things if they're shifting on you. Okay. All righty. Oh yeah. And grippy spray. There's a couple people saying that they like to use grippy spray. Yeah. I haven't done that before, but I've heard good things about it. But yeah, that gives you just like a little bit extra tack on it. So anyway, I'm obsessed with orange pop rulers. They are one of the, like I said, if Kim were to say, okay, Cassie, you only get to use one Kimberbell thing moving forward, it would straight up be orange pop rulers. Cause I use them even when I'm not making Kimberbell quilts, right? Like I do a lot of pieced quilts that aren't machine embroidery every single time because I can square up my block so easy. Okay. And the reason that is so important is another one of the questions we got, which was, let me see if I can find it. I think it's this one. Yeah. Is what hints do you have for putting together your quilt squares so that they stay lined up, right? Because there's nothing more frustrating than when you've been working on your quilt and like you've been working on your pieces, you've done your background quilting on block by block, you've put so much work into it. And then when you go to line things up, it just doesn't work, right? I hate that. So here's my advice going into that. First off, you're going to want to do your prep work before you start combining your blocks to make sure that they are the same size. So this is why I use my orange pop rulers all the time, because I know whatever I cut out with this, it's like my blocks, I am real good at wonky blocks, okay? My blocks usually end up pretty wonky, but when I square them up all with the same tool, then they all end up pretty consistent and it's a lot easier to size them up, okay? The other bits of advice, and again, I was asking the Kimberbell employees, what do you guys do? What advice do you have? And again, they knocked it out of the park. So Becky says that once again, she refers to that sewing resource guide. She really likes the sections on sewing 2 blocks together and joining her rows together. Okay, so I'd recommend starting there. If you've got any questions about any Kimberbell projects, that resource guide, top notch. Okay, next one is Camilla. What she likes to do is when she's got her 2 blocks, she likes to figure out where they need to line up. Okay, and then pin specifically, like this one, for example, we're going to pin these 2 corners. You put your pin right through those parts so that the pin keeps it together, okay? And that way you can, let's see what she says. She lines up the seams visually, looking at them from the side, the future seam allowance, and pokes a pin through the sew seam on each side as exactly and precisely as she can. And sometimes how a seam appears to line up in the front is also influenced by the way the seam allowance is ironed in the back. If it doesn't look quite right lined up on the front with the seam allowance, she will sometimes try ironing it to the other way before she picks out a seam. And sometimes that, like just the little bit when you like pressing the seam a little differently, that makes the difference in making your seams lie flat. Okay, the last one, this is from Melissa, and I tried this and I'm not going back, okay? What she likes to do is when she's got intersecting seams, and I use this on a lot of my stars, okay? And these are, let me tell you, like some of the best star points that I've ever done because I tried this little trick. What she likes to do is she lines up her project, and what she does is she just first does a basting stitch over just like the tricky intersection parts, okay? So what I did on this one is, okay, so I went to sew my quilt, and like, for example, I'm sewing together these 2 blocks. I haven't lined up exactly here where these 2 star points are going to connect. But instead of stitching my whole down the screen, what I did, you can see it here with this pink thread. I mean, it's kind of a rat's nest, but what I did is I just stitched this little piece here. Very first I did that. And then I could go back through and stitch my whole line. Okay, so I just did like that little inch where the intersection was so I could keep that nice and tight. Then I stitched my whole line, and what happened is it made it so my seams lined up perfect. And so now that I've tried that, I'm like, girl, where has this trick been all my life? Okay, so really good things. That's what I'd recommend. Anyway, super good stuff. So yeah, once I had like done my orange pop rulers, cut all my squares out, I lined them up the way I wanted them. I played with them a bit differently. I don't think this was the final one because this right here is, oh, no, this one is the final one. This is how I had them lined up. This is how the final one ended up being. And what I did after that is I did my clear blue tiles, okay? And I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I don't know if I recommend this or not, but I'm gonna tell you about it and you can decide what you're going to do, okay? So what I did is I actually flipped it over, because the nice thing about the way Kimberbell's background quilting designs work is that they look good from both sides. I had so much just kind of like extra crap. Actually, okay, originally what I had planned to do is I was going to take out my tearaway stabilizer. That's why I picked the stabilizer. My blocks already had the batting in them because I did the block by block method. And then what I was going to do for like the backside of my quilting sandwich was I was just going to do a piece of like heavy tearaway or heavy cutaway so that my hat still had its shape. I wanted it to still stand up, okay? Since I left the tearaway in there, this was gonna stand up just fine, okay? Like it's gonna do what it wants. And I was worried that if I did a piece, like another piece of stabilizer, it would go from having some bend and having some give to not being able to bend and not have any give. So what I did is I just taped up where my seams were so that my needle wouldn't have to hop over them too bad. And then I just did my clear blue tiles markings right on the back on the stabilizer. And you know what? It worked okay. I feel like the clear blue tiles part was really easy. As far as the taping goes, my machine really struggled with it, but we got it done. And eventually I had my whole sheet, like my whole piece of fabric that was big enough that I could cut my pieces out. Okay. So then what I did once I had my like thing done is I followed the instructions that Heather laid out in her blog on how to do it. I cut out my pieces. The only thing I did differently, because this already has its own shape, I didn't attach a piece of fusible, not stabilizer, but like what's the stuff that you use to keep it, what's it called? Lining, interfacing. That's the word we're looking for. She has you put some fusible interfacing on the inside before you stitch your hat all together. I didn't do that because mine already has enough shape and structure. Okay. Other than that though, you're going to follow her sewing directions as written, and you are going to end up with a hat that looks like this. And at the end, I just decided to put some floofs on it. I put some tulle and some ribbons because I wanted it to be just like that little extra bit of girly. Okay. The only thing I need to do when I get home is stitch the lining in so that it's, nice and neat. But yeah, like I said, I didn't know if we'd have questions that we needed to see the inside of it. So that is what I have. That's my project for today. That is What's New Wednesday. What questions do you have about anything? I don't know, anything we talked about or anything you've seen or anything that we need to do. Okay. Let's see. You guys have some really good advice. Such good advice for people. Okay. Somebody said that they misplaced the little grippy dots that they were going to stick on their orange pop rulers. What you can do in that scenario is look for like the noise dampeners, like the things that you put on the back of your cabinets so that they don't slam when somebody closes them. I've seen people do that and that seems to work great. Okay. What else do we have? We've had a couple people asking where you can get grippy spray. I'd say check out your local quilt shop. Yeah. Kathy says the grippy spray is available at quilt shops and on Amazon. Let's see. Yeah, and Diane, and when we were talking about how we line up our blocks, what's nice about doing it the way Melissa said, where you just do like your little section, right? Do your little section first, and then you can do the whole one, is that it's really easy to tear just like seam rip that part out if your lineups aren't the way they need to be. Okay, Anita was asking me how long it took me to make the hat. So this would be I tried to do it in one day after work. I did this almost entirely yesterday. I would recommend giving yourselves 2 days after work. So the part that took me the longest was making my perfectly piece blocks. You're just in for the ride, okay? If I wanted to make this quickly, I would get a cheater print, or I would, just not have a quilty pattern on it, okay? Next up, I did my background quilting, and I like to use the large scale background quilting designs because that makes it go a lot quicker. My magnetic hoop is technically an 8x10, I think is what it is. That being said, my machine usually throws a fit at me when I'm doing 8x10. So I usually end up using 6x10 clear blue tiles. That just makes everyone's life easier, which means I want to do pretty quick stitch outs because I'm probably doing a lot of hoopings, right? I think I ended up doing, 9 or 10 hoopings for this guy, which isn't bad. But if you're using the large scale background quilting designs, it makes that go a lot faster. If you were doing a more intricate design, then it's going to take you a lot longer. So biggest part definitely for me was doing my blocks. Then next biggest part would be my background quilting, but really I think that took me an hour to do the whole thing. Then the simplest and easiest part, I kid you not, was putting the hat together, because all you're going to do, you're going to end up with 2 triangle pieces for your hat top part, and you're going to sew those together and flip it inside out. Okay. And then you're going to take you've got basically 4 pieces for your brim. You have 2 top pieces and 2 bottom pieces. You're going to sew those together and flip it inside out. And then you just attach all the pieces together. And then, like I said, the last part is I need to put the lining in, and all the lining is again, it's another 2 triangles that's been flipped inside out. And then I'm going to attach it basically here where the stitch in the ditch is, and it's going to cover up all of my mess. So I'd say it probably took me 6 hours total, give or take. If I wanted it to go faster though, like I said, either don't do the blocks, or you could do the 8-inch blocks. You've got options. The other thing is, like, maybe you wouldn't need to do the brim, or only do the brim, or, whatever your options are. But yeah, the part that definitely took me the longest was making the blocks. Okay, let's see. Any other questions. Kathy's asking about the discount on background quilting. Let's bring that up one more time. So it is a tiered discount, meaning the more you buy, the more you save. So if you have anything in your cart, like automatically, or anything background quilting, you're automatically going to get 20% off. Once you spend $31, then you are looking at 30% off, okay? And after you spend $51, you're looking at 40% off. And at that point, you might as well go all the way to $100 because then you get 50% off. So I'd recommend, if you have had your eye on any of the background quilting bundles, now is a great time to do it. You can get a couple of them basically for the price of one. So that's going to be really, really cool. Okay. Let's see, what else did we do? Where are we going to list the winners for the giveaways? We're going to put those on the Facebook page. And I'm really glad you reminded me of that, Denise, because I forgot that we need to do our giveaway. Okay. So what I have for you is I have 3 Cassie mystery bags. Okay. You know, the cute navy Kimberbell floral totes. I have put together 3 of those with just some fun things for somebody. Here's what I can tell you. There's going to be some fabric in it. There's going to be a blank in it. And there's going to be some fun Kimberbell things in it. Okay. 3 people are going to win those. And here is what I want to know from you to be entered to win. Okay. You can post this on Facebook or you can post it on YouTube. We just got to see Kim on what I think is one of her dream trips. Where is your dream vacation? Where is on your bucket list? If you get to go anywhere in the world, where would you go? Okay. So let's see. Do we have any other questions? Somebody was asking what the hat pattern is called. So the hat is kind of a mashup. I used a free sewing pattern from Heather Handmade. It's called Free Witch Hat Sewing Pattern. And if you search Heather Handmade Witch Hat, it'll come right up. All you have to do is put in your email address and she'll email it right to you. Pretty slick. And it's a really easy pattern to put together. What I did differently though, is instead of using plain fabric for it, I made basically my own fabric sheet that was the size of the fabric that she wanted, or that the pattern requested, using the February 2025 Perfectly Piece block. I used the 6-inch size. And if you were to use the 6-inch size, you are going to need in total 18 blocks. Okay. And that's assuming you want to do outside hat, outside brim, and use a lining for inside brim, inside hat. Okay. Let's see, what other questions do we have? So yeah, you can get that pattern for free from the hat, the structure itself, that's from Heather Handmade and it's free. And the star block, that is Perfectly Piece 2025. Yeah, Anita, I'd say, so I think it took me about 6 hours total, because here's the math on it. Ooh, except for I'm not counting in how long it took me to cut the fabric. I didn't time that. But what I'd say, so to make 18 of the Perfectly Piece blocks, I was able to get about 4 of them done an hour. And I was dawdling. Like, I had shows on in the background. I'm also dog sitting, and he is a very needy little guy who needs a lot of snuggles. But so it took me probably about 4.5 hours to make my blocks. And again, I think there might be ways to speed that process along. Okay. 4.5 hours to make my blocks, probably about an hour to do the clear blue, and stitching the blocks up together was pretty quick too, right? Because you're just making, 3 rows of 6. It wasn't bad. I probably took an hour, and I'm counting that and the clear blue tiles step in the same one. Probably that and clear blue tiles were about the same in the same hour. Okay. And I don't think I said this, but I used the one called Space 2. It's got little moon and stars. And using the 6x10 block on my machine, it was like a 3-minute stitch out. Okay. I'm talking, it was so slick and so easy. Okay. So that's what I like when you're looking for ways to shave down time on your projects. The more simple of a background quilting design you can pick, the faster that's going to go. So yeah, probably about 4.5 hours to make the blocks, an hour for background quilting, and then really putting together the hat pieces was so easy. It took me a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. So yeah, I'd say it's something that if you don't have any distractions, you could probably get it done in an afternoon. If you are going to have some distractions planned for 2 afternoons or 2 nights after work. Okay. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Yeah, Patricia, you need a witch hat. Everybody needs a witch hat. And it's cute. Okay. So cute. I know it's Sherry. This is a good idea. I need to make the Kimberbell hanging spider. The other thing that I thought would be fun is if you wanted, I know the classic Kimberbell witch hat is kind of curved, but you could totally just put a little tack stitch in the top of this, and then it would have that same bend. And then, yeah, I just got to figure out how to get a big floofy spider on that. That'll be fun. Okay. Let's see what other questions. Oh, I'm loving seeing all your dream vacation places. Uriah wants to go to New Zealand. Julie wants to go to Norway. Debbie wants to go to Maui. Patsy, Hawaii again, but this time without the kids. That's brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, everybody, it has been so much fun to spend the day with you. I love the way you guys make me stretch my imagination and stretch my creativity. It was really fun to check with Kim. And I hope that you all have a great rest of your week. I hope that you can all find some time to be creative and make some time for yourself so that you can, spend time on your machine, have some fun. If you've got any questions about anything Kimberbell or anything machine embroidery, I highly recommend posting in that machine embroidery with Kimberbell group, because as you can tell, looking by these comments, everybody is so nice and so kind. And I'm going to sign off so that you can get to it. I'll see you again on Monday for Don't Miss Monday. And Kim will be back for next Wednesday for What's New Wednesday, and then we will both be on craft night on Thursday the 18th. So come see what we do with Enchanted Winter, and hopefully I can beat Kim again this time. We'll see what happens. She did real good last time we did it. Okay, everybody, you're the best. Go forth, be brilliant, and make things. See you later. Bye.